Okay, so we're now going to move into kind of the third section. And in this third section, this is going to kind of be you can talk about what you can talk about. And if I ask questions where you're like, I'm not really allowed to talk about that at the minute, don't worry. So this one is all about emerging technologies.
Yeah, no problem. That's fine. Well, I can. We've got numerous brands, mate. So I can sort of skim surfaces on each of them. Don't worry.
And that's what we want. So where we're at right now is the industry today is moving faster than it's ever moved. Down to the fact that through emulated plugins of vintage equipment, you can have any recording studio on the planet at home. Let's put a caveat on there.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you've got the ability nowadays to record at an incredible high standard for an incredible cheap outlay. If we look at, let's look at, for example, the Scarlett range through to the Claret range, then through into the Red range. Each one has its own its own area. It has its own market, and you can get incredible results with all of the ranges. So for the company, let's talk about, from an emerging technology point of view, where do you see Focusrite going? Where do you see the industry going? And how are you able to kind of keep up and maintain and stay ahead of the curve?
Okay, it's a massive question because, as you said, the industry and technology in general is moving so quickly. We've tried things in the past that we thought was absolutely spot on for where the industry was, and we've had to kind of pull back from them occasionally. Like you said, we've got the Scarlett range. So the Scarlett range is I think they're still the biggest sellers in the world, for what they are. These USB audio interfaces that people go into shops now and say, I need to record something. I need one of those little red boxes. They don't even need to know our brand anymore. The fact that we turned them red was a genius move. And it meant that they're so striking that people know and recognize them. So they know for like 99 quid or whatever, they can get this little box and go home and record, as you said, just such clear audio. And it's almost like we the feeling of almost cannibalizing ourselves a little bit, because we were known for these boards that go into studios. You walk in, you go, you got an ISA just there. It's gorgeous. I'd love to use one of those. Blah, blah, blah. But now you're like, well, you got some pretty good technology in this little box just here, and it costs you 99 quid. You don't have to going into a big studio is still the aspiration, isn't it?
Yes,
still the aspiration. It will be for some time, but accessibility is a huge thing, and making things more and more accessible is the big thing for us. Now, I think that the technology around Scarlett and Claret will be there for some time. We made the Claret a Thunderbolt series to start with because we thought that's what a lot of people would be moving over to on Macs, and then realised, actually, no, back to USB of some kind. So you do get caught out every so often, but I think they will be a staple for some time to come. People want to be able to record at home. I think, to be honest, what's happened in the last 9 months has done nothing but sort of fuel that passion for people. There's going to be people that have never recorded before that have taken it up over the pandemic. There have been people that have probably recorded 30 years ago on a tape machine and want to do it again. So they pick up their guitar, they restring it, they start playing it again, and they want to start, recording it. There's people that are doing audiobooks and podcasts. We're talking now, and you get your Scarlett, you plug it in. It's a really quick way of getting some clean sound. So I think that they will stay where they are, and it's just a case of almost bettering them within the format that they're in already. I think where you're seeing real emerging technologies within Focusrite is actually within our Focusrite Pro range. And it's not just Focusrite Pro, but it's what we know. Yeah. But the idea of recording audio over IP and being able to do different location recording with such small latency. It used to be that, a few years ago, you'd go to a show where you'd meet a load of customers and they'd say, oh, what's audio over IP then? What's Dante?
Yeah. And
you'd explain that. You don't explain that anymore because people understand and know what it is. So they might not understand it to the real minute details, because they often don't need to, because they know that if they get an interface that allows them to do this, that's essentially the glue that sticks that together with that together. I think that's where you're going to see technology moving more and more towards. More and more campuses that I talk to are audio over IP ready. They're future proofing. They know that it's a good way of doing things. It's not just within audio, it's within post-production, it's within broadcast, it's everywhere now.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really important technology. And if your students can learn about that, then they're going to be quids in if they decide to go into a more of a music tech or manufacturer background, because it's such I think personally it's a really interesting way of recording as well.
Yeah.
And you can do things that you've not done before, and you can make use of rooms that you've never made use of before.
Of course. Any
cool.
room in the building is a live room now.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you've got a port for a Cat 5 Cat 6 cable, then you're all good to go. It's just this Ethernet cable that makes everything come alive. It's really, really cool. So for me, that's where Focusrite's sitting right now. Although, do you know what? Like you said, it moves so quickly. Next year we could be doing something completely different. Yeah. That again is what's quite cool with what we do. We have Novation, so they're our keyboard controllers and synths, and making music as easy to make almost is without dulling down the creative process. That's probably the hardest juxtaposition you've got. So you've got products that you want to make so simple that someone that's never played keys before can get a keyboard controller out and they can fire up Ableton or Logic or Pro Tools or whatever. And, within a couple of hours, they're like, yeah, I've got something here that I'm quite happy with. This is quite cool, this is. Without taking away from the fact that we used to always say, make music easy to make. And now we have to be careful with that, because there's a lot of people that say, well, I don't want it to be easy to make. I want it to be a challenge. I want it to be a creative process that at the end, it's like my Everest. I've climbed it, I've reached the summit of it, and things like that, and that's what you want. So you have to find that real happy balance of making music accessible whilst also making it giving someone the ability to deep dive into a product as well. So that's where the challenge is, and I think that will be one of the big things for us moving forwards in everything that we do. But we've just released a couple of really, really impressive synths, and some of them, one of them in particularly high end as well, which is something that a few years ago at Focusrite is not something we were really looking at. That was more of a we had synths, but not to the level of your Dave Smiths or anything like that. And now we're looking at them and thinking, actually, no, we're good enough to hit that. And we've just released an absolute corker. We've got and then we've got our brand Amplify as well, which is a real big one for us, because Amplify, they make music apps. Yeah. And I don't know if any of your students have tried them, but they really should. If you've got a iOS device, if you've got a iPad or an iPhone, download the Launchpad for iOS app and make yourself a track, because you can make a track in 5-10 minutes and you can upload it to SoundCloud and share it around. And they are for new creators and people that want to get into making electronic music but perhaps don't know where to start. Because I know that at your college you'll have people that are interested in all sorts, and you'll also have people that have always played what probably known as more traditional instruments, such as guitars, such as drums, but are interested in sampling, interested in bringing electronics into it, and it's a really good way to start. So it's difficult to know exactly where we're going to be in 12 months' time right now, because we're working so hard to make everything accessible as possible without dulling that creative process. So what we do is we try and show what you can do with these products. We've got a number of marketing campaigns coming up that just prove that you can kind of be anyone, but if you've got a passion for it and you've got the want to learn, then you can take it anywhere, really.
Amazing.